There is great evidence to believe in the existence of some psychic phenomena.
Heard a man's voice said, "Get out of there." Sounded like he was warning me.
He was, in a sense, trying to communicate with them, and sometimes it wasn't taken that way.
I tried to disprove everything at this house, and it turned out to be totally just the opposite.
Supernaturalism is alive and well. It's all around us. I'm Mason Winfield, and I am the legend hunter.
I'm Hannah, and I have one rule. Never trust dolls, mirrors, or basements. Everything else, bring it on. And this is Panic TV. Imagine with me, if this and this had a horrifying baby raised by this. Yeah. That's a movie.
Upstate New York in early spring, a region rich in earthly beauty and ancient history. A key part of that history is the story of the Iroquois Confederacy, a powerful tribal alliance that once stretched across New York State. The Seneca, the most warlike of the Iroquois nations, stood guard over the territory's western border and became known as the Keepers of the Western Door. It is a door that also opens to a deep mystical power that has existed in western New York for centuries and gives it a distinctiveness that separates it from the rest of the state. Only a few upstate New Yorkers are aware of the psychic current that courses beneath their feet. Mason Winfield is one of them. As an author and historian, Mason has written several books about ancient mysteries and paranormal activity in western New York.
There is great evidence to believe in the existence of some psychic phenomena. And when people are just being presented these alternatives of either logic or faith, you know, that's a false set of alternatives. There's a lot in between the two.
While the supernatural is a difficult concept for many New Yorkers to accept, descendants of the original inhabitants of the state embrace it as an important part of their culture.
But you know, one of the interesting things is that First Nations people, Native Americans, they have never lost their respect or their reverence for the supernatural. I mean, for them, ghosts are not just illusions. They're as real as the wind.
Mason shares that belief and feels the Iroquois themselves may be at the heart of New York's powerful psychic presence. It is the theme of his latest project, a book about Iroquois legend and mystic lore. He's a driven man, and so in order to discover the truth behind certain Iroquois legends, Mason has come to Cattaraugus County, north of the Pennsylvania border. His focus is a certain house overlooking the village of Hinsdale, New York. According to Native history, an Iroquois settlement existed in the Hinsdale area some 300 years ago. Many believe that a native burial ground lies hidden beneath the house on the hill. Mason wonders if the spiritual energy of that hallowed ground has something to do with strange events that first took place in the house more than 30 years ago.
In the mid-70s, the Hinsdale House became world famous as a case of suspected demonic possession. And the family developed the feeling that some kind of a spiritual entity was persecuting one of the daughters.
A local priest performed an exorcism upon her. But years later, as a young woman, she took her own life. Many Hinsdale residents believe the house continued to exert sinister forces. Teacher 𝐻𝐞𝐠𝐞𝐬 was 22 when she rented the house in 1983. Not long afterward, things started to happen that she couldn't explain.
My car wouldn't go up the road, so I bought a truck. That wouldn't go up the road. When I finally got it up the road by gunning it, it would die in the driveway. The phone would be dead, the car would be dead, it was constant. My dog would not come in the house. I had to drag him in with all my might. And after that, he hid under the porch anytime he was outside. And one day, he walked me to my car, and he wouldn't go back by himself. He died. He was dead there when I came home.
I'm sure there are ghosts.
Flo and 𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬 have lived in the house since 1986, but only learned of its history after they moved in.
So I called the woman that sold us the house, and I said, why didn't you tell us this house was supposed to be haunted? She said, well, you don't believe in that stuff, do you? I said, yes, I do.
𝙬𝙬𝙧𝙬𝙬's experiences in the house have only strengthened that belief, including the time she awoke to find someone in her bedroom.
And I felt a presence in the room. And I looked over, and here was this young, handsome-looking boy standing there. He had a shotgun in his hand. And I said to him, I said, what are you doing here? He said, I don't know. So I jumped out of bed to get up, and when I turned around, he was gone.
Several times, Flo has heard voices outside, but found no one there. Inside the house, one voice has been very clear about what it wants her to do.
I was awake, and I heard a man's voice said, get out of there. He didn't say it like it was a threat or anything. It sounded more like he was warning me.
The stories are unusual, but for Mason, what is even more curious is the number of different psychic occurrences, not only in the house, but the surrounding area.
I never really thought that this could be going on here, but I'm getting the picture of a whole zone that's very energized. And I at first thought that this was just an isolated case that happened to one family that lived here. And it sounds like maybe the site, the whole area has been strong for a much longer time.
Whatever the source of the Hinsdale energy, historic burial site, or the Earth's natural emanations, it fits the Iroquois view that some places, known as power points, have more psychic juice than others.
And I've come to the conclusion there's some kind of energy of place, some kind of a power that concentrates itself in specific locales and might have some effect in psychic phenomena that people report. I think we can use this experience as a launching pad and try to speak to some of my Native American friends and see what they can tell us about shared experience.
For Mason Winfield, the next step is clear. As he continues to explore the world of Iroquois mythology and magic, he will look more closely at its connection to these concentrated areas of supernatural energy. Since he possesses no special psychic powers himself, it is not something Mason can do alone. But past research has introduced him to those who have been blessed with psychic abilities, and is about to enlist them on his mystic quest. Buffalo, New York. the state's second largest city. For legend hunter Mason Winfield, it is also the hub of a unique psychic energy that permeates throughout Western New York. One reason could be its proximity to nature's own power generator, Niagara Falls. Another could be the city's original street design, thought to embody elements of geometric structure and Masonic symbolism.
It almost makes you feel like the area could have been put together to be sort of a psychic battery to enhance the spiritual energies. I'm not positive that Buffalo is more haunted than so many other places, but it sure looks like it is.
In Buffalo, Mason meets the first recruit for his journey into the world of Iroquois mysticism. Mike Rambacher is an ordained minister with an avid interest in psychic energy. He has visited the Hinsdale House many times to investigate the strange events that have taken place there. He too believes an Iroquois village predates the town of Hinsdale by several centuries.
This actually, as it turns out, is close to what I believe is the chief's burial grounds up on top of the hill. And this area right here in the woods, about 250, 300 yards from the house, is approximately where I found some artifacts.
Mike is sort of a field investigator. Mike will visit a haunted site and try to demonstrate the presence of energies, which might be spirits, they might be ghosts. But through photography, through recording devices, through electrical measuring systems, Mike will be able to do a complete make on a site.
Mike is eager to lend his equipment and expertise to help Mason investigate the existence of psychic energy in areas related to Iroquois spirituality, especially if it leads them back to the house at Hinsdale.
I tried to disprove everything at this house. That was my original goal, and it turned out to be totally just the opposite. Has been an energy that has been there beyond our memories and anybody else's, including the Native Americans. It is a peculiar place. It is an odd place, and you never, ever know what may happen, ever.
This uncertainty has prompted Reverend Mike to bring along the other tools of his trade: holy water, hallowed oils, sacred stones, all part of a ceremony to release the Hinsdale House from its demons.
And this is an active site. This never ends. The cycle just continues and goes around and around and around.
Mason and Mike now connect with the third member of their team. They meet her at another legendary haunted site, the Buffalo Town Ballroom. This abandoned casino is said to have had connections to organized crime. 𝙤𝙤𝙢𝙚 is a New York City psychic who discovered early in life that she had special powers.
My first real psychic experience happened where, as a child, I would have dreams that would come true, and sometimes within minutes and hours or even weeks of my dreaming it. And it would come true almost exactly how I dreamt it.
Now she is part of a group of psychics that help the NYPD with hard-to-solve cases.
A lot of what I do comes through my skills in psychometry and remote viewing. That's touching objects and getting vibrations and energy, and sometimes just looking at a place where something has happened, I can get these visions and feelings and energy from the place.
Mason hopes that both Shane and Mike will be able to use their psychic talents to get a similar feel for the house at Hinsdale, and ultimately cleanse it of its supernatural energy. But first, a little practice run to get their psychic juices flowing. It is the reason why Mason has brought them to the caverns of the Old Town Ballroom, said to be haunted by victims of gangland retribution.
Some of the people I work with are very, very psychic, and they love an atmospheric spot. at which to meet and sort of confer with their inner powers.
Oh yeah, flat. Here's the good stuff. This is the good stuff. Original.
He was dragged in here.
Yep, absolutely.
It's got the feel of a dungeon.
The person was alive, but it wasn't for long.
He was dragged in here and beaten up. And it would not surprise me at all if he wasn't shot right there. I think they put him out of his misery.
It is just what Mason needs. Two psychic perspectives working together to locate and measure areas of intense paranormal energy. To see if the secret of Western New York's powerful psychic presence lies in the mystic legends of the Iroquois Six Nations.
Iroquois nations, people who have lived in Western New York, have many legends about the landscape, many legends about powerful places. I'd like us to try to take a team approach and investigate some of these ancient monuments, these ancient power places in the landscape, and see if we can confirm the existence of this energy source.
You kind of are focusing on the spirituality of it and the metaphysical part of it.
Yes.
Plus the detection.
Yeah, Ray will bring
if there's
out his-
energy I'm feeling, you can pick it up.
That's right.
Ultimately, Mason hopes that what they learn along the way will help them free the Hinsdale House from its demonic forces.
Would you regard the Hinsdale environment as a place, the Hinsdale House, as a small location in which the force went haywire?
The force is haywire, has been, and probably always will be. And it really affects the whole hill. It affects the village that's at the base of the hill. It affects all of it. It's just that it is more active sometimes than other times, but it is never dormant.
And you're sure we really want to go there, are you?
No.
Mike Rambacher's anxious words linger with Mason as he plans the next leg of their journey. To prepare themselves for the house at Hinsdale, they must first enter a world where ancient mythology still thrives in modern times. The rural outskirts of Western New York. It looks normal enough, but this particular road is taking author Mason Winfield and his team of legend hunters into the realm of spirits, shamans, and Iroquois magic. They are on their way to the Tuscarora Reservation near Lewiston, New York, northeast of Niagara Falls.
You know, supernaturalism is alive and well on the reservation, and it's all around us. It's under our feet. It's everywhere we go in Western New York, everywhere we go in Iroquois territory. I hope to investigate at least some of the physical places associated with Iroquois supernaturalism and test them for energies of a possibly geological nature and see if there might be some correlation there to the outbreak of psychic folklore and the centuries of tradition above them.
Mason, long time no see.
Long time.
How have you been?
Oh, absolutely good.
Psychic 𝐿𝐴 couldn't make this trip, but she'll join them later at the Hinsdale House. Meanwhile, Mason and Mike Rambacher have brought the fourth member of the team, Ray Watson. Ray is a practitioner of the ancient art of dowsing. Using simple tools and his own finely tuned intuition, Ray can track the location of water, minerals, and lost treasures, as well as patterns of high psychic energy. They are greeted by Michael Bastine, the Algonquin native who will be their spiritual guide on the reservation. The first stop will be the burial ground of one of the most powerful of the Iroquois medicine men, Wallace Mad Bear Anderson. As a young man, Michael Bastine apprenticed with Mad Bear. And today, he will take Mason and his team to areas where the great shaman lived and worked to see if traces of his energy still exist there. To prepare the team as they venture into sacred grounds, Michael Bastine performs an ancient ritual designed to protect and purify them.
We're going to do a little bit of a smudging and offer some tobacco, because what we do is we ask permission before we go ahead to do anything.
At Mad Bear's gravesite, Michael leaves a gift of sacred tobacco, the first plant given to his people by the Creator, a tribute to his friend and mentor.
In my language, we say miigwech. It's the same in any language. It's 𝙎𝙖 is up here. They say 𝙎𝙖. It's thank you. So when we finish that, then we can continue on with this journey.
The next stop in that journey is the house where Mad Bear lived during his final days. One of Mad Bear's friends, 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙬, joins them at the site.
And ironically, right near it was a cabin in which he may have lived for a much longer time, and the foundations appear to still be here. And we came and looked at it from several perspectives. One of them was with the machine called a Gauss meter, which detects electrical energies coming up out of the earth. It distinguishes between natural, normal energy and something unusual. Got a 5 there?
Yes, it's off the ground.
That's wild.
There's a real disturbance.
That's the foundations of a house, do we think?
The house
Could be.
Was right here, a little log cabin, right? It's right here, in this area.
Dowser Ray Watson moves over the same areas to see if his findings are similar. As part of the dowsing process, he asks his pendulum yes or no questions, which it answers by way of the movements it makes.
Watch what it does. It goes to a diagonal without me doing anything. So now I can ask the question. Normally it's a yes or a no. But I could hold this over here and say, okay, show me if there's ambient energy here that's at work, and if there is, do it in a circle, and it's doing it already.
Ray's pendulum confirms what Mike Rambacher's equipment told him. Unusually high levels of ambient energy exist in the place where the great medicine man lived much of his life.
His name is Jason Hamby.
Iroquois elder 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙬 leads the team to another spot where the shaman's energy force might be, the grove where he tended his medicinal plants. Here, the process is reversed. Ray will scan the area first, then Mike will use his technology to validate Ray's findings.
Every muscle in my body is tense. I love it.
There seems to be a lot of energy vortexes in here, because that's what causes the helicoptering to take place. And as soon as sometimes you take a half a step off and it disappears just that fast. We were just checking to see if there was some way we could determine whether Mad Bear had been in this particular locality. So I simply said, show me a place where Mad Bear would have stood for whatever reason. And there's the spot I was originally on. When I got over to here, then they crossed right here.
Now it is Mike Rambacher's turn. He sweeps the same area with his Gauss meter and confirms that Ray is right.
And they're really hidden right now.
It is teeming with energy. 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙬 and Michael Bastine verify that the location was once a sacred ceremonial site used by the medicine man.
Straight up, straight up.
Mad Bear did come here often, and I would not be at all surprised if Mad Bear was in this exact spot collecting medicine.
Probably seen the...
For Mason Winfield, it is a fascinating first experiment.
It seems like we found an energetic spot here at which Mad Bear actually used as a ceremonial site. And lo and behold, our dowser was looking for it, and he found it. And our gentleman with the ghost meter actually detected some energy over here, too. I'm a little more convinced of this than I was before.
For Michael Bastine, it means even more. Affirmation of the Iroquois belief that those who have come before leave behind an aura of energy that never fades.
Even though that generation has passed, they've left their essence. They've left a reminder or a marker so that when the next generation comes through, we can always locate it.
Michael's words leave Mason with something to think about. If the spiritual power of one medicine man can leave behind measurable traces of psychic energy, what about the combined essence of hundreds of Iroquois men and women who lived and died on Hinsdale Hill long before the town was born? What kind of marker have they left behind? The Tuscarora Reservation in upstate New York. As part of his research for a new book, author Mason Winfield and his team of legend hunters have discovered areas of intense psychic energy left behind by the great Iroquois medicine man, Mad Bear Anderson.
Amazing.
Today, they track the essence of another Iroquois legend, this one founded more in folklore than flesh and blood. A mystic world populated by little people, less than 3 feet tall.
Societies all over the world have had legends about little people. And the ones that are probably most familiar would be the ones of the Irish and the Scottish. But the Iroquois people have had legends about little magical races of human beings, I mean, for thousands of years. And these are very, very sacred.
According to Iroquois legend, little people are powerful protectors of the earth with the ability to become invisible. Although they are not often seen, little people sometimes make themselves known to those in need of help. For Iroquois elder Norton Rickard, the little people are more than just a legend. They are part of his family history.
Well, this spot here is where my grandfather called me aside one day and he said, I want you to come here and I want you to see this. And he said, no, there's a rock right there. He pointed it to me. He said, no, the little people live here. He said, I'm going to tell you what happened to me. He said, I was hunting here one time and I got real sick. And I was going to try to make it home, but I knew I couldn't make it. I laid down along the bushes. He said, the little people came out and they took care of me. And in the morning, they all went back under that rock right there. He said, so whatever you do in your lifetime, don't you ever disturb that rock, because that's where they stay, and they probably saved my life. A little boy walked out of the woods, helped people.
After asking his dowsing rods to direct him to areas of intense energy, Ray Watson follows their lead to the rock where Norton's grandfather had his encounter.
Before. And notice what this does when it gets in here. Right here.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'll move to the other side and notice the pointer stays right there.
Yeah, it's
So roughly right where the moss has gone off from there is a power spot.
Mike Rambacher's Gauss meter corroborates Ray's intuitive findings.
1.5.
That's kind of high, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's very high.
Yeah.
That's very high.
So we know
Even
that
getting
the
0.6s was your high up until...
0.6 was high, but 1.5 is extremely high.
Whoa, that's neat.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that tells us that there's something here. It may be the little people, evidence of them.
Once again, Mason's team has verified the presence of concentrated energy in a place where man and his myths come face to face.
I don't expect myself to see any little people, but I've developed a bit more reverence for their traditions because the sites that folklorically are considered sacred, lo and behold, we check them out and they've got energy. It's exactly what you'd expect to find if you were believing their traditions. So I think this is kind of lovely.
While stories of the little people have a gentle, blissful quality, the sacred significance of another Iroquois legend makes Mason nervous.
I'm feeling a little apprehensive about us filming false faces. The false faces are sacred to different nations in different ways. And whereas members of some Iroquois nations may talk to you about false faces, to others, they are so sacred that they can't even be shown.
For the Iroquois, false faces are hallowed heirlooms of an ancient tribe of healers, whose leader challenged the power of the Creator and lost. According to legend, the Creator spared the clan, allowing its chief to become a god of healing. The Iroquois believe that ceremonial masks that represent the misshapen face of this chief possess great power that must be honored and protected.
The false faces are sacred to the Iroquois people. They're venerated as power objects, totems that defend us from all disease and all evil. And the tradition of the false faces possessed by the Six Nations is absolutely unique to them.
Ceremonial false faces are so revered that those who possess them must care for them as living beings.
And you comb their hair and wash their face and everything, you know, just because it's like a human being, really, you know. That's how the way how strong they are and how we look at it. I think we're not in that hole.
Michael Bastine remembers how Mad Bear's false faces would warn the medicine man of trouble.
There would be times when those masks would start to get unsettled. They'd start to make noises. He says sometimes that would make like the rushing of wind sound. And he says that when he heard that, he said he knew that there was something up with them. And he said they were being bothered.
The power of the false faces comes from the way they are made, carved from a living tree. But first, permission must be granted in a ritual involving the trees themselves.
Normally what they would do, they would look for an elder tree, and the offering would be made to that tree to ask permission to take one of the other family members to take a part of it.
I think there's a lot of validity towards their feelings toward false faces, and whether they're powerful in themselves or whether they've simply been invested with the psychic beliefs of generations. They are powerful objects, and they are to be revered and treated with respect at all times.
It is time for the legend hunters to leave the Tuscarora Reservation. But they take with them a new understanding of an age-old culture that still survives. At the same time, they have been able to track and measure undercurrents of psychic energy in areas directly tied to Iroquois legend and spirituality. Mason is confident that they will be able to do the same tomorrow when they visit the house in Hinsdale. The question is, once they track that energy down, will they release something they can't control? The journey that began on a hill near Hinsdale, New York, has come full circle. But today, Mason Winfield brings with him a team of psychic specialists to examine the area that has been a hub of paranormal activity for several decades. It is the last stop in an expedition that has taken them into the world of Iroquois mysticism, So far, they've been able to detect and measure power points of energy in places where there have also been native spiritual manifestations. Now they stand before another power point, the Hinsdale House. This site may be drawing energy from an ancient Iroquois burial ground thought to be under the house's foundations. Armed with their newfound knowledge, the legend hunters will try to cleanse the Hinsdale House of its psychic presence. It is not the first time it has been attempted. In the early 1970s, a young girl living in this house experienced what the family believed to be demonic possession. A local priest tried to perform an exorcism, but paranormal activity continued even when the house changed ownership several times.
This is from Father Al, okay?
Reverend Mike Rambacher has been here before. He knows what awaits them. For protection, he offers each member an amethyst, the powerful stone of the Archangel Michael, who drove Lucifer from the kingdom of heaven.
Ray Watson.
After meeting the current owners, Flo and Joe Misnick, the team sets to work. Psychic 𝙭𝙤𝙢 and dowser Ray Watson are seeing the area for the first time, and both feel a powerful energy surging through it.
Certain electromagnetic fields some say, it causes hallucinations. And they think sometimes that's why you see ghosts and specters. But my feeling is that certain people, it enhances their ability. It opens up their sense. They're able to pick up paranormal energy and impulse.
Shane picks up her own paranormal impulses, sensing the strong feminine presence of someone who lived and loved here long before the house was built.
This woman lost this man, the man took off, and she actually died literally of heartbreak. And then I think she related to females here. I feel anybody that was going through what she had at one time or another, she related to them, and she was, in a sense, trying to communicate with them, and sometimes it wasn't taken that way.
Ray Watson uses his dowsing rods to scan the area and discovers not just pockets of energy, but tightly spaced grid lines of what he calls geopathic rays.
And over the couch, so boom, right in front of the stove again. And if you look at the spots, they're almost square.
Yeah.
Another one right here. So it kind of, what it does is end up either squaring off, or at the very least, setting up rectangles and squares. They're very geometric in their form.
These rays of energy draw 𝙭𝙤𝙢 to a corner where Flo Misnick often hears unexplained noises. It turns out to be the spot where the first attempt to cleanse the house failed. Now, 32 years later, almost to the day, Reverend Mike Rambacher will try again. But he will need Shane's help.
As she has found, and we know from past history, there's a heavy influence of female energy here. And so she was and will be incrementally important as far as the ceremony itself goes.
The cleansing ceremony begins in the same place it did 3 decades before. In a ritual reminiscent of Iroquois smudging, Mike uses a mix of holy oils called 𝙬𝙤𝙢 and a floral extract known as dragon's blood to wash away any negative forces.
We have a prayer that we say each corner of each room. Holy water will be put on those corners of each room. The prayer will be said each time. Because you have made God your shelter, no evil will happen to you. And all that dwell on this land, he will give his angels charge over you and over the land. The Lord will cover the land with his wings. Trust in your God, and he will protect your possessions from all evil. Amen. Shane.
𝙬𝙙𝙬 anoints every room with holy water to purify the entire house.
I felt a little tense, but it was not as severe as I thought it might be. I think we had a lot of help here, and there was a lot of people directing their energy in the right place. Guard and protect the individuals that live in this land. Guard and protect Flo, who live in the house. Give them peace and understanding. Thank you, Father. See.
With the ceremonial cleansing complete, it is time for the next important step. If it works, the house on Hinsdale Hill may finally be set free. On a hill above Hinsdale, New York, a team of legend hunters has used its collective psychic talents to cleanse the interior of a house that has been the site of paranormal activity for over 30 years. Now, dowser Ray Watson turns his attention to the outside of the house. He has discovered a latticework of intense negative energy passing under the home, grid lines he calls geopathic rays. He uses his pendulum to ask if he will be allowed to negate these rays.
Now it's giving me a yes, so I know I have permission from Mother Earth to do this.
All systems go.
Dowsing is less psychic ability than learning how to heighten perceptions that all of us have but rarely use. For Ray, it is all about the power of intent, or the power to bring an idea to the physical world. He uses that power to try to eliminate the geopathic rays of energy from under the house.
Now, if I was successful,
Boy, it's at least weaker if it's not gone.
well, that's why I'm double checking it.
Moved a little bit last time.
That's gone.
Wow.
There is one more step in the clearing process. Homeowner Joe Misnick must agree to bury 4 stones in each corner of the yard. Representing the 4 directions on the compass, the stones create a squared perimeter that shields the house from negative energy that tries to return.
We have green, red, white, and black. 1 stone will go in each hole, 4 corners. The property will then be gridded. Everything inside of that will not be affected by energy any longer. Thank you, Joe. We'll go to the next corner someplace.
Next corner? There you go.
You're all set, Joe.
You're here for eternity.
You're here for eternity.
The process is complete. Now, all anyone can do is hope that it brings about a change for the better.
I think that down the road, we'll find out how this has worked for them. For the people that live here, hopefully it'll be an everlasting thing for them. And I live close enough to Flo and Joe, so I can keep tabs on them.
Like the 4 stones that now guard the house on Hinsdale Hill, it is time for the team of legend hunters to go in their different directions. With the help of their respective disciplines, Mason has been able to delve more deeply into those things we can't always explain.
It was remarkable to find our experts agreeing from so many different perspectives. And maybe with just one of the levels, you might think it was just a coincidence or just even an emotional reaction from someone, just impression. But when you've got this layered approach, I think that's a new avenue for understanding.
It is this new avenue for understanding that is most important to legend hunter Mason Winfield as he continues to explore the ancient mysteries of New York State. His journey into the Iroquois world of the sacred and the supernatural has made him aware of what those outside that world are in danger of losing.
When the world has entirely lost its supernaturalism, I think people have lost a lot of their reasons to believe. They've lost a lot of their reasons to see anything special or valuable about the human experience. So I'm trying to do my part to wake up the world a little bit to the spirituality, the supernaturalism that is justifiably here.
If you could rewrite that ending, how would you change it? Go full director in the comments below.